Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some very kind of almost daunting news when it comes to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, where it seems like they are still stuck at this very bitter end right now in these big, massive discussions. Now, I guess it might depend too if like some random breaking news comes out, but when it comes to this one, it does seem like this has been the biggest standstill in gaming contract history. Whereas of right now, we still have all these really big organizations and big central hubs going and just being like, what's going to happen? How are we going to like work out these deals? And how are we actually going to go and make Call of Duty our own game, whether it's on PlayStation with their next, I guess, 10-year or even longer exclusivity period, or on top of something else when it comes to Xbox actually buying it on out. And right now, it's just been the biggest standstill. We've made a lot of really big strides when it comes to regulators, when it comes to people talking, but as well also a lot of big news when it comes to both Nintendo and Nvidia going and basically properly signing up contracts with them. But as of right now, we have some really bad news because it does seem like this is still at one of the biggest impasses known to man. As well, if you guys want to go hear all this news, give me your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch streams down below if you guys want to follow, and all the other various sellout links. And well, let's go and talk about the fact that this is going crazy news. Like, we're apparently seeing that there's supposed to be better contracts coming. We're apparently also seeing news as well where Sony's like, I'm never going to take this deal ever again, and let's go and, well, talk about it. So very first and foremost, you're now seeing that Xbox says it's actually offering an even better deal right now, and they're going to probably upset about this over time, than Sony's current COD contract, which is actually currently expiring as of now in 2024. So that basically means that they have another basically 2 more Call of Duties in their system, and then they would have to go and be able to go and interact with Activision and try to go make out some proper good deals with them to go and extend them. Probably, you know, most contracts are not always in like a 1-year basis. Sometimes they're like 3, 5, 10, 20 years, whatever it may be. Typically a 10-year contract usually is kind of long term, and that's kind of why a lot of folks are thinking, well, maybe Sony should just go and just take this deal in the first place. But at the same time, we have no idea if there's ever going to be an option of renewal after that 10 years, or if Xbox will be like, you're on your own, buddy. So this is why it's a bit of an intriguing deal. So they're basically saying right now, it's a better deal for Sony if they actually went and signed the deal they have right now with Xbox to basically make sure this Xbox buyout goes out. Microsoft has been very upfront about offering Sony 10 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation following Xbox's Activision Blizzard acquisition. An offer also extended to Nintendo this week, which I think as of this point, they actually have accepted it, although it's still just basis on if this deal probably goes through. We'll maybe see that contract go and fizzle out if it does not. Even though the likes of Nintendo have now accepted the deal, the PlayStation owner is still yet to accept anything of the sort, and so far it seems like all these discussions and conversations have not been good. Now, when it comes to all this stuff, it's intriguing because Nvidia joined yesterday. We made a video on that. Nintendo is on top of that. But it does kind of still seem like some of the bigger companies, such as like, say, Apple or Google, are still kind of seemingly on the fence. And obviously, Sony has still been, well, very anti this overall. But the one big thing to know is that speaking to CNBC after the EU's court hearing, Microsoft president said he had a lot to say on the acquisition and how Xbox believes is offering an actual better deal for Sony. Like, they're trying to go be like, bro, we're trying to literally give you even something better. We're trying to make sure you guys have this good, like, just vibe going on. You guys can keep on making money and keep on doing really well. And that's the very intriguing thing, because Sony is still very adamant against this, because they know they have the leverage. They know they have the power for this. So they go and say, when we bring out a new version of Call of Duty on Xbox, it will be available on Sony's PlayStation on the same day, on the same terms, with the same features, if the deal really ensures parity. So they are trying to say, like, bro, you're going to have exactly what we have. You can get like day 1 release. You maybe at the same time, maybe same pre-orders. Like, we're not sure exactly how they're going to do it. Just the one big caveat will be they can't go anything with Game Pass, and they can't go do anything with, well, you know, I guess just buying it for cheaper. I mean, Game Pass is pretty cheap when it comes to that. So they say, I think everyone who has looked at this would say it's a better deal for Sony than the one they have right now with Activision Blizzard that will expire next year. Now, it's also an intriguing thing too, because we saw a lot of these court documents come out stating that Sony is actually going and overpaying right now when it comes to the deal. Like, they're actually giving them a way better percentage to maintain like these probably exclusivity periods and the actual sales going on with that division. And they probably want to go and cancel that too as well, which also means that Activision as a company will probably actually be making less money. Although, does it really matter? Because their main purpose then is just to be a Xbox, basically, video game maker. It'll make things a little bit weirder, I guess, to say the least. We could kind of go from there. But yeah, it kind of seems like right now, it seems like they're not even close to a deal. They said, we've had talks about these insured levels of parity before. This is the first time we've heard Smith talk about Sony's current contract, though, with Activision Blizzard. And it's also intriguing to that Xbox even knows what these deals are. I guess if they've been kind of doing a deep dive in information when it comes to all this stuff, would make a lot of sense. But when it comes to all these details, it's just a very, very intriguing thing to see. I'm not really sure. I don't know. It's just weird. It's strange. I just don't think the deal itself is... I wish we knew the internal details, but I really wish these deals were better. And also at the same time, they were just, I don't know, maybe more leaked. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of a weird thing to say that, but I want to just know more of the internal details. I want to know what's going on. I want to know like the price points. I want to know how long they're supposed to be going for. How does the actual exclusivity period for those pre-orders, like, you know, the betas that PlayStation gets first, I want to know why this is going on. And they were also saying this deal's not a good deal. Is it because of like the higher percentage that we just don't necessarily know the full exact numbers for? We saw it in court, but it was redacted, but we know it's a higher number than what Xbox gets. So at the end of the day, does that mean that like the deal is actually bad? Is Sony losing a lot of money? Or is this like almost a leverage cause where they're okay taking the sacrifice to lose money because that means they get more people overall? It's like, would you rather go and sell 5 oranges for $5 and make $25, or would you rather go and sell 100 oranges at $3 and you make $300? It's kind of like that. Like, I mean, if you could sell a lot more at a cheaper price, but you get like the deals, you get the pre-orders, maybe it actually works out at the end of the day. So it's kind of crazy too, because PlayStation's basically their exclusivity deal of like the pre-orders and extra games is actually ending though in 2024. So maybe that's why they're trying to go and maybe even try to have that leverage to basically maintain that they maybe get to keep that same pre-order vibe. Although I don't think Xbox is going to allow that, because it means they're losing more money. And at the same time, well, it's just not worth it for them. They literally just paid $70 billion. So it's very intriguing to go and see this, because it seems like they're still in this massive landlock and more leaked information is coming out as these higher ups and CEOs are getting more and more upset about the fact that these people are still not making a deal. Yeah, they say even with such a short notice period I left on the existing deal, it doesn't seem to be pushing Sony into signing anything with Microsoft. And as well, they did go and confirm that the deals are still not going through. So they had reports over here saying Microsoft and Sony not even close to agreeing with terms for Call of Duty deal. Report. We haven't agreed to a deal with Sony, but I hope we will. That kind of stems off of the information I showed you guys. They just want to have a better deal. They have the leverage. They know they have the regulatory leverage, and it's making everything so much harder. So say Microsoft has reached a 10-year deal, as you guys see, with Nintendo and Nvidia, as we've mentioned too. But for this one, it seems like, according to GI Biz sources, a deal between the two companies is not close. Microsoft President Brad Smith said at a meeting with regulators in Brussels this week, we haven't agreed to a deal with Sony, but we hope we will. According to the site, Smith reportedly had a piece of paper in his pocket that contained the terms of the deal to demonstrate that Microsoft is ready to make a deal with Sony. Like, we're literally seeing like the pictures coming out. We're seeing them talking about like, hey, we want to make this happen. Here's the exact terms. Here's the exact time. Here's the exact details I'm going to give you guys out there. And it's funny because this guy, I don't know. Like, I just have not seen almost Sony budge a singular inch so far when it comes to anything. I really just have not seen them almost seem like they want this deal to ever go through. And why would they? If they can single-handedly go and basically soft block this, why would they not? It's very intriguing. So they do say Smith added that Sony can continue to spend time and resources trying to block the deal from happening, or it can come to the bargaining table and try to hammer out a deal. And this is where we already know, because if they're going live publicly stating and talking about the fact that they could go pull out a deal, guess what? At that point, they should... That's at the time. Like, this is your leverage. If you're looking like, hey man, we need this deal, let's figure it out. How about instead of like a 10-year deal, we'll go for a 15-year deal? How about instead of like a 10-year deal, maybe try to go and just lock on like a, hey, we can just like give us good contract terms. Let us automatically re-sign in 10 years to see. I mean, some of these guys might even not be working there. Like, some of these executives in 10 years might be ready to be retiring. I mean, at the same time, it might be like more of a 12-year, because we also don't forget they have already the 2-year deal as is. So like some of these people like Jim Ryan, they might even be like literally gone. So they might just leave it to the next CEO at that point, maybe, and go from there. But it's crazy because right now it just seems like Sony has so much leverage. They are not working well with Xbox, but in terms of like a pure business and contract, it kind of makes sense. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, why are they going to want to go and throw them these easy bones? There's no real reason for it. So they say, according to Smith, Sony's own deal for their context exclusivity ends after 2024. And although Sony has yet to comment on this claim, I do think it's true, though, because we've had that number mentioned a lot, and they've talked about the current ongoing 3-year one. Like, it just makes sense. Like, it's just going to happen. It's going to end up being like a real thing. It's just a big duh. Just a big duh. So basically for this one, Sony has not commented on all these terms. They're trying to be a little bit more low-key. Xbox trying to figure out what's going on. And they did go mention, too, that potentially key details in an interview, unprompted, that there could be any reasons for all these different types of things being leaked and talked about. And I think they're just trying their best to get this last, like, hurrah, because Nintendo's on board, Nvidia's on board, and they realize that regulators are a little bit more hardcore than they were expecting when it comes to this. And they're just trying to maybe get the public maybe push for this one. They still have that 10-year contract, which doesn't sound awful, but at the same time, I mean, I kind of wish it would have been maybe better for Sony. I mean, 10 years is not that bad. Like, I'll be surprised if we've been making videos now 10 years from now. And, well, I'm kind of curious on their thoughts, because right now it does still seem like Sony has the leverage. It looks like Xbox is trying to get it. They mostly have it from all these other side companies, but they just don't have it from PlayStation and Sony as of yet. So give me your thoughts and comments down below. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below. We have the Target links down below, Amazon links down below, and leave a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you guys all throughout today.